Super Duper Morning Show. We got another guest joining us in the building every Monday at 9:15. A little behind schedule, but he is here nonetheless. Got to say good morning to Claudius BUNCAMPER, aka Toncha, candidate number 2 on the Nation Opportunity Wealth Now party, which will be contesting the upcoming elections on August 19th. Toncha, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Super. I can't complain. Can't complain at all.
All right. Now, usually, we have a lot to talk about. Usually, I have everything structured, but there's so much, I don't know where to start. So I'm going to let you be the one to direct where we're going to start off this morning.
Super, I think, it's crunch time. Mm-hmm. 2 more weeks, 2 Mondays from today is election.
Wow, yeah.
So I want to bring to the voters something that I have dubbed the BUNCAMPER Effect.
The BUNCAMPER Effect.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And basically, with my knowledge, my ability, and my expertise, history has shown that when I get involved, things get done. Mm. Even William Allen said on the floor of Parliament, if you want it done right, call BUNCAMPER. Mm-hmm. I call the relationship between my actions and leading to results the BUNCAMPER Effect. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm going to sell for the next 2 weeks. How I plan to get things done and why things need to be done where others don't believe it should be done. And we're going to discuss a lot of things on this matter, especially when it comes to what people should expect me to do in Parliament. Because talking is one thing, but if you're not heard and it doesn't lead to structural changes, strategic positioning, because a few things people are lacking in Parliament. There is no decisiveness. Mm-hmm. There is no strategic thinking on major issues that we have in this country. Super, the most important question, I have been through the districts. There is one fundamental question that people keep asking. How you going to put money in my pocket? Mm-hmm. And I tell them...
The legal way.
The legal way. Yeah, the legal way, naturally. Or how can we make the money that's in our pocket stretch to do more than we can do right now? And that question, whomever answers it best will win this election. Mm-hmm. But it must not be based on nice talk. It must be based on reality. Things that are tangible. Yeah. When I tell people transportation is a problem because fuel will continue going up, they ask you, but how are you going to solve it? And I said, electrical buses, solar-powered buses. They cost about $20,000 in China. Let's say another $5,000 to $10,000 to bring them here because you put them in a container. For $30,000, you get them free sun. You create a charging station. Mm-hmm. Let's say for $35,000, you can charge 30 buses every day because with a power charger, it's a half an hour charge. Mm-hmm. And your engines, your batteries are filled up. There's no maintenance on these things, or very little maintenance. Mm-hmm. So the cost, the operational cost, goes to next to zero. You have lived in Holland. Mm-hmm. You realize what they did in Holland with the Q bus. What was Q bus? They bought up all the other buses, right, and they made one. And that one was run as a business. So if all the bus drivers become part of a business, mm-hmm, where their pay is regulated, their vacation is regulated, their working hours are regulated, their family time is regulated, you change the social component of life. This is going to be the BUNCAMPER Effect. Mm-hmm. I want to change that social component of the lives of people in Samaritan. I want to change the family structure. The father can't be working 20 hours or 18 hours a day just to put bread on the table, pay rent, pay GB, and hope his children can go to school because he can pay school fee. That cannot be our social component anymore. And this is going to be the BUNCAMPER Effect, and this is what I'm going to be rolling out for the next 2 weeks.
But with that situation with the bus, which to me is a great idea. That's something I always thought why we never did. Why government never decided to, have a bus company, let government own it, and then hire bus drivers and then Yeah, and then the money comes back into the coffers and whatnot. But then what happens now with the current bus situation that we have with the bus licenses and
We have to work with them. Not all 500 can be bus drivers. We got to be honest.
Right.
But 150 can easily be, because there are so many routes that people fight for. Everybody wants to drive the St. Peter's route or the Maho route or the Marigot route or the French Quarter route, because those are the tangible routes. Nobody driving the Point Blanche route.
Right.
Nobody driving the Sucker Garden route. Nobody going into Middle Region. Nobody driving those routes. And I'm saying there is enough space to do things. I am not telling you that the solution is fully thought out. We had created changing lanes 10 years ago as government, and we always had bus licenses and taxi licenses as a sort of entrepreneurship. But entrepreneurship can't work if you continuously, every election cycle, flood the market and say, well, our cap is 500 and something. Where do you get 500 and something from?
Yeah.
We just dream up these numbers because it sounds nice, and let's give out plates for taxis and buses. Look, I am not saying we're going to take food out of anybody's mouth, but we got to create something that is feasible and works. Children under 11, seniors over 62 should be able to drive for free. And if you have a swiping system where you can create a cashless society on these buses, it works well.
Yeah.
It will work. You know, we always say it doesn't work. It will work. We just have to be confident that our people can make this work. That's all it is.
Right. What else do you have in the BUNCAMPER Effect?
Oh, there's a lot more. The diversification of the economy. Other people don't want to deal with it. I'm going to deal with it. I am going to push as hard as I humanly can to legalize cannabis, to ensure that we have a structured income through that industry. It's $1 trillion industry. Super. If we can just get a dig in, we will have enough money to do agriculture to create food sustainability. And at the same time, we legalize the illegal right now. We put young men that are sitting, I don't even want to say they're sitting on the block, they're not working, or they don't have enough work, that they can then, what they have done when they were younger or still doing, they can now put it at a different level, at a professional level, where you have the growers, the distributors, the retailers, whatever. It is a big industry. It works well in other countries. Why can't we do it? We find 150 reasons not to do it, but we won't find one reason to do it. And I'm saying we got to change. The same goes for seniors. We keep saying we cannot not tax the seniors. And my question is why? Because somebody says so. But when we had to give in 25%, it happened overnight in a vote in Parliament. So I'm saying we need to stop saying no to everything and start saying, yes, it can. Yes, we can. Obama did it well. It gave him 2 president terms.
Right.
All with, yes, we can. And yes, we can stop taxing seniors. We really, really can, if we have the desire to help them. And I'm saying too many seniors are struggling. Cost of living keeps rising. Fuel keeps rising. Go into the supermarkets, you see, certain supermarkets didn't even have fresh meat. Containers in reach. And containers only getting more expensive now.
Yeah.
Container from China is now $9,000, $10,000.
Yeah.
It used to be $4,000 or $5,000. So again, everything is going to climb. GB is going through the roof because fuel clause is going to continue to rise. As long as we have all the uncertainties in the Middle East, fuel will continue to rise. And as long as that is rising, and we refuse, because that's the onlyest word I can use moving forward, we are refusing to address the green energy syndrome. We are refusing to say, let me go with solar panels. Holland offered $60 million to do green energy. Our Prime Minister said, well, right now I gotta buy engines. Well, not my money. And we're gonna find a consortium to go borrow 40-something million for GB to buy engines. And I'm saying, but we must be the biggest idiots in this on this planet.
We had 60 million our last.
You understand? To do solar, to do wind, to do waste energy, because all of those 3 are considered green energy. Only we, with this government, are saying no to it. The previous government ain't even talking about them because they got us in this darkness. That's why I love the meme that going around with candles and all the faces who put us there.
Yeah.
Because GB wasn't the best. But what we have today is sad. This is truly, truly sad.
Absolutely.
And again, you notice all this load shedding?
I realize
It's gonna continue now.
Yeah.
Because they're having issues with other engines now. Other big engines seems to be giving issues. 17 and 18 seem to be given an issue. Those are big engines. So while 19, you gotta fix the crankshaft and you get them back 10 megawatt to help with that. And you put back 8, you get 3. So only 4 we had to work on. And those the big companies were getting off. So we didn't have no more load shedding. We are load shedding every day, 2-3 times in districts.
Up to 3 hours per yeah.
Because they are having issues with other engines. Yet, we ain't talking about solar.
Yeah.
Yet, we ain't talking about waste energy. Yet, we ain't talking about green energy. Something is wrong.
Yeah. And what about the new containerized engines that are there?
Once they put them on, it's not going to stop the load shedding.
Right.
That's the problem. Because the amount of districts that they are putting out now per time is more than 10 megawatt.
Yeah.
Don't let nobody fool you.
Tell you.
It's more than 10 megawatt. So when 10 megawatt comes on, we still going to be load shedding. Something we should not have been doing.
Right.
So I don't know. I really don't know how to put
Now,
that
going
different.
back to the legalizing cannabis, you talked about getting the people who are doing it now and it's deemed illegal, getting them involved. But also another aspect that we could look at it is those that have been locked up for it as well.
They have to be pardoned.
To be pardoned, increase space within our prison as well.
Well, I don't believe in prisons. I think other countries like America, their crime rate will never go down. Because they put you in prison, they treat you like an animal. In Holland, they're shutting down prisons and they're making them vluchtelingen camp, people that, how you call it now? Asylum seekers.
Right.
They put them in those areas to live. No gates, And by us, we want to invest another $40+ million to build another big prison. For what? We have one with 80 beds. We should be ashamed that we are filling that to capacity and we need more space. That means we are not taking care of our people outside. Dutch Quarter last night is a clear example of frustration and a very badly thought out action. Look, we bring a lot of people here. Is it to curb gang violence? Is it to curb vote buying? We see suddenly they arrested an MP. So which one is it? Which one are we talking about? Because both of them can't go together. You have to deal with one and then deal and curb the other one. Yeah. But again, if you start to rough up people, they're going to push back. You see, we never behaved like the French side. But now we are. Yeah. And we are starting to push back. And the last thing you need are unnecessary riots. The districts, sure, we got problems with certain districts. Abuse of scooters, violence, etc. But there are ways of dealing with things. There are ways of calling in. All those people involved, they have people that speak for them. Yeah. Find them. Have a talk. What can we do to alleviate the pressure? And what do you believe we should do as government or as law enforcement so we can have an amicable living with each other? Right. Exactly. Look, I am not going to promote robbery, but a lot of times people rob because they need to feed their families or they have no other means to get food on the table or pay GB's bill. We don't understand that the cost of living in St. Martin is only driving the poor into more poverty, the middle class into poverty, and the rich, they don't care because they got enough money. Yeah. So we have a serious problem on our hand. And instead of us helping each other, we believe that with force we can solve it, and we will not solve it. Let nobody fool you that war has ever, or violence has ever solved any issue. What it happens is, like what you have. 4 years we have been governed by fear. The past 4 years we were governed by fear. Anytime something happened, they give in. This government, we are being governed by compulsion. Something happened, sign off, call election, call, do this, do that. I am concerned, extremely concerned, on the way forward. Because, Super, we shouldn't lie to each other. As big people, there are a few things we must do. One is tell the truth. Tell the public of St. Martin what's wrong. I don't believe this government is telling the truth to the public. And that's some of the consequences we are seeing now. You had a whole debate in Parliament. Can we have public meetings? Yes or no? And while there are two sides to every story, I want to publicly ask a question. Was the Council of Ministers informed on July 23rd, that very big meeting where they decided no more meetings, no more... Were they ever informed of the letter that the Chief of Police wrote on the 19th of July? I want the Prime Minister to come out and answer that question. I can give you an answer. I spoke to 3 ministers, and they said no. They never saw that letter or heard of that letter. It's only when push come to shove that he went on Grace and read a piece of the letter. But if you can't even tell your Council of Ministers, the Minister of Justice in particular, who is responsible for justice, what kind of letter you got, and where are we going with this letter, you need to ask yourself a fundamental question. What game are we playing with the people of St. Martin, the safety of St. Martin, and even his own government? Because he's the Prime Minister. He is the Prime Minister. And you see, Super, this is the problem. You go into Parliament, and they vote down through a motion a desire. Because the motion, the only thing it is a desire. They can't force, if government decides tomorrow, here's the national decree, we enforce it, no meetings, no this, no that, there's absolutely nothing. They can go to courts, and they can challenge it in courts. But again, the courts would have to listen to the prosecutor's office, the VDSM, everybody behind closed doors. This is not going to be a show where the media is going to come in because you're talking about national security. That's the reason they're supposed to be doing what they're doing. And I'm saying, when you find yourself in a position like this, I agree. You don't talk about national security in public. You do that behind closed doors. But up until today, no party leader has been told behind closed doors what the real issue is, why we want to cancel all the meetings. And we got to be honest about these things, because these things are not sitting well with the public. And democracy showed its face last week when, I think it was what, 8 people voted for the motion, 5 against the motion. So it shows that democracy still exists. But again, let me be clear, that motion is a desire of Parliament. It's not a decision that government must do this. What are they going to do? Call the government and fire them? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they can get our support. You know, so let's be honest.
Right. So, moving forward, anything else you want to add with the BUNCAMPER Effect, or August 19th, what should we expect? Because I know there was some other things that were discussed, like the polling stations, people in front of the polling stations, and the
again,
vote buying and everything.
Look, all of those things were part of this motion to part of the decision of government to curtail vote buying. We saw an arrest of an MP. They let him go the next day. But you know, they have enough. They're going to start a case against him eventually, whatever. It won't surprise me they grab a few more, because there was a lot of talk on Facebook in January about who was doing what at the polls. You know, so there's enough information, even tangible information with pictures and all that they had on Facebook, but who was doing what where. So again, it won't surprise me they go after a few more. It would not surprise me before election. My problem is, are we steering the election in a certain direction by doing this?
I wanted to ask, is the timing right? Or
horrible, horrible. All the controls on the so-called gang affairs, and so why isn't this done August 20th? Why don't you do it after the elections? You cannot be dealing with vote buying and gang violence at the same time and tell me we are doing this and we're going to continue to do it. So what happens when the military leaves? Because they ain't here for the rest of their life. They come here now to do a little something and then they're gone. Can the police handle the situation that we are now preparing? Because we are preparing ourselves for a very serious situation down the road. Do we have manpower to deal with it? In my opinion, the answer is no. We are short-staffed.
Else we would have never called them in the first place.
Exactly. So I am saying we got to be careful with the battles we pick and how we pick them. I agree. law and order should always prevail in your country. But we got to be careful with the type of message we're sending. We go down Maho at night and we line up there the streets with police and military. Yeah. What message are you sending? Yeah. Tourists are filming this, putting it back on the World Wide Web. What message are you sending? Yes, there was a shooting there. Mm-hmm. Yes, there was a shooting. That shooting was gang-oriented. Everybody knows it. Well, the good gentleman is back in Trinidad. He's recuperating. So why be pretending as if here the onslaught gonna happen? Thing gonna happen here, gonna happen in Trinidad. Thing gonna happen here. So we gotta be careful with the type of message we are sending out in this country. People must be able to feel safe. Can't be so that 11 o'clock at night you driving down Maho Reef and people stopping you, searching you.
Lights in the car.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
It's very intimidating. It's very disheartening.
Naturally. Yeah. And I'm saying, I understand the action, but I think if the action had taken place at the border or in a dark area on the strip from Mola Bay, that was a different story. But you want to do it right in front of the hotel where everybody can see. Showing force that way is the wrong way of doing it. It's the wrong. And last night, they got a taste of how it looks like when they start to push back. And when the push starts, don't fool yourself. You can start any place at any time. And if you get 4 or 5 areas with this nonsense at the same time, the police nor the military can control it. Absolutely. So we have to be careful what we're doing.
Absolutely. So August 19th, message that you have for the people out there.
St. Martin needs a change. St. Martin needs a new direction. The Now Party. We have 16 good candidates. I am your number 2 candidate, Claudius Anthony BUNCAMPER. The man that is going to bring the BUNCAMPER effect to reality. A man that will use his strategic abilities to negotiate and put this country in a place that it can really, really, really properly function. I'm a man, I tell the truth. I think out of the box. I fight for St. Martin. I have a proven track record in government and in civic service in my country. I have the knowledge, the ability, and the expertise to do the job, super. I don't want to get cocky, but I am a people's choice. I hope that people see my professional experience of delivering projects that I have done, my technical capacity to handle one of the most important things for us, waste to energy, alternative energy, to bring down that GB bill and make sure that we go from point A to point B as smoothly as possible without unnecessary costs, etc., etc. You got to reflect on the development of our society because our people, their hopes, their visions, how can we make that truly a reality? Because remember, St. Martin is our home. It's our society. We cannot expect other people to fix this for us. We got to do this ourselves, super. You know, social conscience of what is right for all our families is something that we'd like to talk about, but we don't really give it a framework, a picture that, hey, this is what you want. What is the legacy of St. Martin? What is our legacy in nation building? We need to do these things. What is going to be, for me, an important something is the responsibility we take to ensure that all our grandchildren have a good future in this country. You know, and if we can do those things with consensus by all of us together, I think we're going to fail. The BUNCAMPER effect entails what I just told you there. How we're going to do it. I am somebody, if I bring up a problem, I bring a solution. I am very solution oriented because talking is easy. When I was in Parliament, the 2 years, I delivered, I prepared 3 laws. Because I had to leave, unfortunately, nobody took the laws forward for me. But I am going back. I'm going to pick up my animal welfare law. I'm going to pick up the judicial laws that we had prepared. And, you know, because those were in a fast stage, get those through so we can do something for this country. St. Martin needs people like BUNCAMPER. St. Martin needs people that truly care for this country. For me, it's not about what I can do for you, or what I can do for me, or what I can do for my family. For me, it's what can I do for country St. Martin. And if country is not above everything else, then we are busy with the wrong thing, super.
Yeah. Before you leave quickly, you mentioned the GEVE, situation and aspect that we're going through. I know your leader, Christopher Emmanuel, talked about I believe I don't remember the exact words that he said, but he mentioned something about, you know, basically erasing all the bills and everything, and then we starting from the beginning, which I do agree. However, I think we should have done that from maybe at least a month or 2 months after the hack. I don't know if we're too far gone, because you have a lot of people that have still been paying their bills, and then what happens to them now? Now that they've been paying, then now everybody's forgiven, and you know, he's got a lot of criticism for that comment.
Listen, people that don't want to see the whole story will criticize you. GB is owed about 150 million by the companies and the residents of Samad. GB doesn't have one loan to pay back. The Prime Minister said that. GB doesn't have no outstandings to vendors. Prime Minister said that through management of GB. So that 150 million, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
What were you going to do with that money? Because you shouldn't be making that type of profit in 2 years. Because it's 2 years the hack was.
Yeah.
So it's 75 million profit a year. That sounds exactly. And what I'm saying is, do I believe that we should wipe the debt? Yes. But there must be conditions to that. Because people that have faithfully given up everything else and paid should not be punished by those that say, well, I'm paying, I don't care, I ain't gonna bill, I'm paying. Certain people are getting 12 bills now, 15 bills, and there's money that was never put to the bills, or GB got the money, but they never put it to the bills because they didn't know which contract it was. I think when all is said and done, there should be a forgiveness. How big a forgiveness? That is something that we have to look at. What will it cost GB, and what does it mean for GB? Because those are two different things. I can cash trap the company and they can't do nothing with solar, or do we say, okay, everything that we forgive, somebody got to pay for it someplace. Do we put that in alternative energy? Is GB obligated to do A, B, C, D in solar energy? So I want to look at it from that way. I don't want to just say, give everybody a free pass, let me start, because what will start in October then? I'm paying again.
Yeah.
So what you do? Cut them then? And then we have the same cry again, but I can't afford it. So the problem is not just in the wiping. The problem is, how do you move forward? How do you ensure that those bills don't come back the same way again?
Right.
A bill that was 300 is now 700, 800. People are going crazy because their bills are going through the roof.
Yeah.
They have more consumption when they're load shedding than they had the month before when there was no load shedding.
Right.
So is the load shedding affecting the digital meters? Are the meters running faster with the jolts of current that's coming? I don't know. I'm not an expert in that.
Right.
But those are serious things to look at, because people are getting higher bills than they got when they had no load shedding.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I don't want to believe that people are using more current, because when you're load shedding, you ain't got no current to use.
Right.
So, you know, there are some things that need some good attention, but the general concept of helping people with wiping bills is a good concept. It is a concept of trying to bring back normalcy, trying to move stress from people, because people that are stressed are going to have a problem moving forward in life, if we like it or not.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, BUNCAMPER, for joining us, and much success on the campaign trail. Before you leave, one more question. You're about to take a long flight. What movie, TV series, or TV shows will you be watching on the flight during the plane ride to keep you busy?
Oh, I like CIS and those type of movies. Homeland is one of them now. I noticed a series, 7 seasons.
Okay.
It's, yeah, you know, I like things that make you think, things that make you try to see, try to project what's coming, and then you see how good the writers are, because they throw you off and they send you in a totally different direction.
Right.
I enjoy this type of movies.
All right. Thank you, Bunks, again, and see you next week, Monday.
I'll be back.
All right. So ladies and 101, we got birthdays coming up next.
All right. Take care, people.